All right, Evan, what's going on?
Hey man, how's it going?
Look at this awesome setup and the beard going. It's summertime, not winter. We got the wrong fashion going on right now.
Mine is questionable hygiene. With the kid not sleeping, I have not been waking up early enough to shave it all off.
Sounds like you need a beard emoji app next.
Yeah, for sure.
So Evan, I guess you recently joined us in the Bluecloud app formula. We originally met in Hawaii last year. You came for one of our events, and I think you're also celebrating an anniversary. So double whammy. But how did you come
in? That was
in?
this year, believe it or not.
Yeah, that was this year. You're right, a couple months ago. So how did you come into contact with Bluecloud and find our group?
Yeah, great question. So, I got involved with Bluecloud because I was introduced to Carter through Chad Moretta's App Empire 2 course. And I felt like I really connected with Carter when he was doing the weekly calls there with App Empire.
Right. Yeah, and we came. Why did you choose to come to the event in Hawaii? I guess also.
Yeah, so the event in Hawaii was really interesting to me because after 5 years of being, a coder, right? So a software developer that was in Xcode every day writing code, and kind of watching the App Store and working for clients, I really felt like I didn't have the marketing side of software and apps really well understood. And so I got this email from Carter in my inbox, and it was like, hey, we're doing this thing in Hawaii. Like, it's going to be huge. And, there's going to be a bunch of, really interesting app marketers and, app business people and entrepreneurs there. We'd love to have you. And so, I kind of read through, and, Hawaii is not that difficult of a sell. So I was like, sure, I'll roll the dice. I had to make a decision between going to the Bluecloud Hawaii event or going to San Francisco a couple months later for the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference, the WWDC conference.
Mm-hmm.
It wound up being about the same cost, and so I was like, well, if they're going to be the same cost, I need to act like a business person. I need to act like a business owner, and fill in the gaps in my own knowledge and the gaps in my own skill set. So I think that going to the Bluecloud event in Hawaii is going to help me kind of level up there.
Yeah, and it was a great time. I know that we got to spend some time and kind of learn about your background and what's going on. Such a high energy event. I think also we connected a couple months, maybe a month ago, and you kind of just asked me like, hey, Mark, is this app thing, can I really do this? Like, can I really make it out there? Can I make an emoji app that hits the top charts? Can I make money? And I was like, hell yeah, and I get it. I think you've got, how old's your daughter,
My son is just going to be 10 months.
So you have a wife, you have a family, you've got a 10-month son, and I think you've got like this business that you're really unsure about. And you called me, you're like, what's the deal with this app thing? I went to the event, fired up. Can I personally do this? And I think my response was like, hell yeah, of course you can. I think, you're a special guy. You have a lot of energy. You're smart. So I'm just so stoked that you've made the moves and seen the recent success that you have. So that being said, you were first you contacted me because you were interested in the emoji template that we have, similar to the Steph Curry and whatever else in the store.
Yeah, so I knew that there was quite an opportunity in the App Store for emoji apps, and had kind of sort of been doing a little bit of market research. But I got an email from Carter, right? So another email hits my inbox from Carter that says, hey, we're doing this thing called App Formula, and the thing that we're really excited about is that we've got some really great templates that we want to give you guys, in addition to just tons and tons and tons of information. And so, the one template in there that stood out to me was the emoji template. And so I think I even messaged you and was like, hey, Mark, like, can I buy you a beer for the emoji template? Like something like really, really cruddy like that. That was like, I really have to do the whole course. Like, can't I just do the one template?
Yeah, so we have the App Formula course. It comes with 9 modules. It comes with 11 templates. And you're right. You already took the App Empire 2.0 course. You've been to the events. You have kind of a grasp of what's going on. You're not like a new buck in this system. So unfortunately, we don't sell the template by itself. And I was just trying to give you the upsides of this course besides the same thing you've learned in App Empire 2.0 and other courses on YouTube or whatever else. And one of those things was, I know you like the case studies. That was valuable. We have the tons of resources, templates. I know that you're maybe thinking about using the Tiger Stickers template now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation because for beginners, we always say use a template. Like, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you hassle, it's going to save you money. But that's not always the case. And that was with you. You were really questioning, is this course, is this formula, are these templates worth my time and energy? Or should I go the other route and code it organically? What made you make that decision, I guess?
Yeah, well, so, like I said, so for the past 5 years, I have been a developer. I've been, building iOS software from scratch, with my own fingers. And so I really just wanted to get to market quickly, right? You made the comment earlier that I contacted you and was like, can I really do this app thing? Like, my consulting business is doing just fine. Like, should I start building assets, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to get to market. I wanted to know as quickly as I possibly could if I, could get an app, trending, could get an app on the App Store, could get an app that, was successful. And I didn't want to waste a lot of time developing it. I've got developers on my team. I've got, my own ability to develop it. I just wanted to get on the App Store, and I wanted to test the marketing components. I wanted to test the ideas and, all of the other things other than coding. And so for me, it was hey, if this works out really, really well, then maybe we'll come back and maybe we'll blow away the template. And maybe we'll do, something different, or maybe we'll, clean sheet it and custom write our code or something like that. But there's a lot of little gotchas when you're doing an emoji app. That I don't want to mess with. I just wanted to drop images in there. I wanted to, figure out what the concept was. I wanted to figure out what the best, onboarding experience was. I wanted to think about it from a product standpoint and not a tech standpoint. And so that's why I was really, really interested in that template. You're right. I'm an advanced developer. Like, I'm really good at what I do, but I just want to get to market, in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think you explained a lot of really key important things. There's a lot of people come to us and they want to get involved with apps and they have a coding background. And they're like, I can code, what do I do? Send me the course. And I'm like, coding is a great thing to have. Having that experience under your belt is great. But like, we teach how to do marketing, how to do monetization, how to scale your business, these other things that, like you said, you were able to step back of your forte and help manage your business and learn the areas that you're weak in, like you said, marketing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coding definitely gave me the super, super detailed eye of oh man, if you rotate, you better make sure that the app does this thing. And, what if you lock the screen and then come back to it and the emoji hasn't sent, all of that, extra, edge casey stuff. Definitely I feel like I have a leg up on, but knowing how to code it gives me absolutely nothing to do about monetization. Right. Knowing how to hit compile and Xcode does not answer the question of hey, is this going to be a paid up front app? Is this going to be free with in-app purchase? Is this going to be, ad supported, whatever?
Right. So walk me through the process. Then you have the emoji template. You would already predetermine that your first app was going to be swimming emoji themed. I guess, I know that you're a college swimmer. Your wife was a college swimmer. I'm a swimmer. So it is a really funny connection that we already have in a niche market. But just walk me through why you chose that niche and kind of the steps that you took.
Yeah. So really my goal was to work with influencers, right? So Carter has been talking a lot in the past 6 months about influencer marketing, about reaching out to influencers, about working with influencers, meaning people that are celebrities either in their own niche or internet celebrities, or they have an audience, they have a following, they have kind of established the people know them, people like them, and people believe in them kind of components. And so the only connections that I could really think of, really strong connections that I had, were to the swimming community. So that's swim coaches, that's swimmers, et cetera. And so I thought, okay, well, if I can get in and talk to these athletes or these coaches or these officials or whoever, and kind of tell them my story about swimming and kind of tell them, you know, like where I came from and why I was doing this and whatever, maybe they would decide to work with me. And so that's really how I landed on that idea.
That's really interesting because you have a couple different components of how people decide to come up with an idea. The first one is market research, right? They go use Sensor Tower, App Annie, research iTunes. The second one is just a general want. Like I talked to my friends and my wife, and we were talking about there's not enough swimming emojis, and I wanted text with swimming emojis. Yeah. But yours is really powerful that people don't really think about, which is the easiest place to start, which is what connections do I have? What expertise do I have? Who do I know? How can I jumpstart my way into this market?
Yeah, it was funny because, you know, as I'm kind of getting pumped up by both you and Carter, like, yeah, go forward with this, man. Like, start making those phone calls. I reached out to a buddy of mine that I went to high school with and called him and was like, hey, like, I know you missed the Olympics, you know, in 2008. Like, you know, what's the story? Like what really makes these like Olympic athletes and, you know, these swimmers really tick? And like, he just spilled it all out. Like, I thought I was going to have to like drag it out of him. I thought it was going to have to be like this really awkward conversation, but he was just like, oh dude, you got to do this. And then you got to do this. And then you got to do this. And I was like, I hung up the phone and was like, oh my God, I'm going to be super successful.
Oh man, that's awesome. So yeah, I guess, so what happens next? You have the idea, you realize that you have some connections. What's the next steps that you're taking?
Yeah, so I start hitting those connections, right? So I start talking to everybody that I swam with, my coaches, my peers, everyone, just kind of looking for an angle. At this point, the U.S. swimming team that's headed to Rio for the Olympics, they are finalized. So it's 47 athletes. And so
the timing's perfect.
Yeah, timing is totally crucial on this one. So I just need to start like pounding the phones. I just need to get in front of these people so that, you know, they can be like, oh, it's a great idea. Like I want to be in an emoji in your app. That was my thought. Like,
yeah. So Michelle Harris from the Bluecloud Select group emailed me today. She has this influencer she wants to connect with, and she just doesn't know how to do it. People think that you need to have a suit, a tie, and a briefcase, or cold call everybody, but take me through the process of either calling people, emailing, like what are you doing? How are you pitching yourself so that people are taking you seriously, especially because, you know, you don't have a top app in the store already. Like you don't have a company really that's established with apps. How are you getting people's attention and contacting people?
Yep. So I'm sure there's a better way to do it than what I did. But I started by going on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and creating a profile for my company, right? So I started a whole new company called Emoji All-Stars, created a Twitter profile, created a Facebook and Instagram profiles for those entities, and then just friended everyone, right? So like every single one of those athletes, I added them, I followed them, you know, whatever. And then for each of the different social profiles, I started to try to figure out how, like, what makes them tick. So in Twitter, like everybody that was tweeting out sponsorships, everybody that was tweeting out, you know, like things that were important to them, I would retweet.
Right.
In Facebook, they would get a bunch of thumbs up and likes and comments and whatever. Instagram was a little harder kind of nut to crack, but that was my, like me trying to reach out and make a connection with these athletes on the social platform. In parallel with that, I started doing research on these athletes to figure out which ones were professionals and so therefore had representation, and which ones were amateurs and therefore I needed to reach out to the athletic departments at the universities and colleges that they were at. So in addition to kind of working the social media angle and just kind of getting my name understood, I then started sending cold emails to everyone's agent. And I try to keep the emails really, really small and try to keep the message very clear. Like, hey, I am almost finished with an emoji app that's focused on swimming. I have illustrations that look exactly like the athletes that you represent. I think this is an awesome opportunity for brand awareness for your athlete during and after the Olympics. Let's talk.
Right.
You know, and so it was maybe 3-4 sentences tops, you know, just a quick email that if they wanted to throw it away, fine. But emoji app, like kind of some of these keywords that, you know, like anyone that's paying attention right now to mobile and to representing and branding and marketing, they kind of sort of know these words. And so I was trying to make, you know, kind of the keywords that would make these emails light up. And I got a huge response rate. I was shocked that almost everyone that I emailed wrote back and said, hey, this is interesting. What do you mean? Or give me more information. Or, what's the story here?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how many responses you will actually get if you do this. Like if you just reach out. I know people think like no one's going to pay attention to me, or I'm not worth having a featured app. Like who cares about little old me? It's not true though. If you reach out to people and like you said, you show value. One thing that I always recommend to people when they're trying to do partnerships is pay a designer $20, have them create a screenshot of that app and be like, look at this app for your brand is 90% done. Like Michael Phelps, cool. Here's a Michael Phelps emoji app. Here's screenshot one. Like this thing's in the works. Like all you need to do is, hop on the phone with me for 5 minutes. We'll talk it out. 50-50 rev split, whatever it is. And that's it. And I think that's exactly kind of what you did. It was just say, here's my idea. Here's what's going on. Here's how far along I am. Like, let's talk.
Well, I knew that this was going to be something that set me apart in the marketplace because as I'm doing research on these sports agents, it's like, oh, and this guy, he deals with Michael Phelps and Shaun White and like, a bunch of other names that you're just like, well, I can't talk to that guy. Like that conversation is just going to be me being like, do you want an app? And it's gonna be like, it's just going to be a total like shit show. And it was awesome. Guy, he'd call me back. He's like, this is interesting. Tell me more, kind of thing. And so, it's almost like, kind of the pursuit that's like a lot of fun about that part of the project. Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So you're reaching out to influencers. People are getting back to you. What's the next step after that?
So I'm developing relationships now with the athletes, with their agents, with their legal representation. And we get about, 2, 3, 4 phone calls in with almost everyone's agent. And, just kind of feeling things out like, is this a good fit? Is this guy, is this Evan guy really, is he going to be able to pull this off, whatever? Kind of show them some screenshots or show them a working version of the app or show them the creative and assets that are going to go in featuring their athletes.
Yeah.
And then we get a big blow. And that blow is that the International Olympic Committee has a rule called Rule 40 that disallows athletes from endorsing businesses during the games. So there is like a 4-week blackout period, and they can't tweet, they can't share, they can't do any of their social influencing during the Rio Games. Like they can't even tweet a picture of themselves or as an emoji. And so I'm just like, oh man. And this comes up because the day that I have on my calendar to get this app sent to Apple and approved in the App Store is the day that starts the blackout period.
Oh man!
So like as soon as I say this date, everyone like the lights just click for them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, how are you going to handle Rule 40?" And I was like, "Ugh, like no, like what is going on?" And so like it was just like devastating. Like everybody was like, "Yeah, we didn't even think of Rule 40 until you like brought it up. We were so excited about the idea, but now that we're thinking about it, this seems really like not well planned or not well timed, or like that it's just too close to the edge. It's just too." It's a fine line. We don't want to step over it. So thanks, but no thanks. And I was just like, no, like I was right there. Like it was like I got 4th place in the Olympics. Like I didn't even get a medal. Like,
Mm-hmm. So you had to change your business model, right? Like obviously you're focusing on influencers. You can't use influencers. So you went to brands, right? Weren't you focused on contacting brands after that?
So at this point, I didn't know what I was going to do. At this point, I was just like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no audience. Like it's not like I have like a website that like, hundreds of thousands of people are going to. But I knew that that's what I needed. I knew that that's what I needed in order to start the snowball rolling downhill, right? Like I could put it on the App Store, but I really didn't think that there was any sort of organic traffic driving to this, kind of idea. I'm not sure that people are really searching swimming or swimming app or swimming emoji. And so I needed to figure out a way to just start getting people thinking about it, interested in it, whatever. And so I had to figure out Facebook ads. I had to figure out Instagram ads. I had to figure out like how to leverage these platforms that have deep demographic information about users to get my advertisement in front of them. And I was like, well, this is just not going to work. Like there's no way this is going to work. Like, like swimmers are just like, they're weird. And like, there's no way clicking on ads and, this kind of stuff.
And this is when all of the emails are coming in from Evan asking about Facebook ads.
Oh, man. Yeah, I am like just like slamming you guys with like, hey, and like, is it important to do my creative this way? And like, how do I set my, like all of these like, technical questions and high level questions. And so what I wound up doing is I wound up running for the 10 days prior to the Olympics, I wound up running kind of like a pre-flight, get excited, the Swimoji swimming app is coming set of ad sets. So we did 3 or 4 different creatives. Like we had no idea what we were doing. But we felt pretty good about zeroing in on the demographic. We felt like we could figure that out. And we drove a ton of traffic to a just single page landing page, email squeeze page.
So real quick, Evan's talking about Facebook ads now, and I walk through, because first of all, this is great because this is exactly what you wanted to learn, was the marketing side of apps.
Exactly.
And what you did is you integrated the Facebook pixel. Like walk through how difficult or how actually, in other words, how easy this is to use a Facebook pixel, use Facebook ads, and having no prior experience put up. I mean, your ad, I sent you a screenshot. It went to me. Like I am essentially your target demographic, and I didn't know you were doing this. And I sent you a screenshot, and I said, Evan, like, what's going on, bud? What are you up to? But yeah, walk us through how easy it is for somebody who has no prior Facebook experience running ads, what you did, how long it took, and kind of just, your strategy.
Yeah, sure. So, so the implementation, right, the execution of it is super easy. Facebook has really done a great job of making the like technical pieces of it very, very simple. The biggest challenge that I had was figuring out how to get the Facebook pixel installed on my WordPress site. So I reached out to a couple of people in the Bluecloud community and said like, hey, like, have I totally botched this? Like, what is going on? Like, is this right? And everybody's like, yeah, like that's all there is to it. Like step 1 is the only step there. I was like, are you sure? Because like everything that I read on the internet says that there's like 20 steps. And it's like, no, you're done, Evan. Like stop freaking out.
And it's literally, it gives you this line of code and it says, open your WordPress and push paste here.
Yep.
And, save. That's essentially as hard as it gets. So,
exactly.
People just get so afraid of anything that involves code, even though it's a cut and paste, or anything involving marketing and spending money on ads.
I mean, spending money is a little, it's a little freaky, right? To be like, okay, I'm going to spend, $20 a day. Right. And then you start doing the math on that and you're like, 5 days, that's $100. Like I could go drinking on $100. Like that's a nice dinner for me and my wife kind of thing.
Right.
But then, and you don't really know what you're doing, right? So it's like, oh, I'm just going to like, throw the money into the air kind of thing. And it's just super overwhelming, I think. I think all of the knobs that you can twist, I think all of the stuff that you can kind of mess with there is what's overwhelming and concerning. But at the end of the day, like, I ask Carter like tons and tons of questions like, hey, should I be focusing on this? Should I be focusing on that? Should I be focusing on this? And he gave me some really good advice. He said, all right, for the first thing that you want to worry about is, the cost per clicks, right? So like you're sending people to a website, like get that number as low as you can, right? So the ways that you can get that number low is better creative, is different demographics. Like here's the levers that affect that number. Mm-hmm. Right. And then it was like, okay, next thing you need to be thinking about is, your conversion rate, right? So like once, like, is it the ad copy that has a strong call to action to get somebody to go to the website, et cetera, et cetera. And so, it's like if somebody's gone before you and can sort of give you kind of breadcrumbs along the way, like,
right.
It's not that intimidating. Like you can get it taken care of. So we must have reached 50,000 people in our pre-launch. Wow. And we must have sent, about 1,100 people to our single page, and we collected 200 email addresses. So, that's not Michael Phelps' Twitter followers number, 200 followers or 200 email.
Oh. Back? I think we're good. Hey. Yeah, sorry, we're here. I hear you.
No worries. What dropped out?
My internet, but I think we're still on. We're good. I got it recording on 2 things, so.
Okay, cool.
We're good.
So I was saying that we had sent about 1,100 clicks to our website, and we had captured about 200 emails of people that had.
I think you ran a couple campaigns here. So there's one campaign, which is the pre-launch campaign that you ran, which essentially is somebody sees an ad, they click it, and they go to a page that says Swimoji is coming soon.
Yep.
Sign up. Yep. And essentially all that does is it collects emails. I think you're using MailChimp.
Yep.
So you get emails collected. That's the one campaign, right? So what's the other one? The other one is when the app is actually live.
Yep.
They see the ad. They go into a web page, or they go into the app store.
Yeah. So we sent them through a redirect page where 50% would go to a sales landing page and 50% would go straight to the app store. So that we could kind of calculate conversions and figure out like if sending them to the sales page first would, entice them or would slow them down from buying, right? Like that was kind of the hypothesis or the thing we didn't know.
Right. And what was the conclusion? Did you find out that it's easier to send them straight to the app store, or?
Yeah, so we're still running the that experiment, but right now it looks like the overall conversion rate is better if we send them straight to the app store.
Got it. Now let's talk about the really fun stuff. The app is live. You're getting people to leave you reviews. You're commenting in the group, and then all of a sudden you notice that there's a little bit of something good's happened in the utilities category. So how did you find out that you were actually hitting the top 100 and that you were going further and further up on the charts?
Yeah. So I had that email list. So I sent a message to the email list saying Swimoji is live. Go download it now. And I was hoping that would boost me. I was hoping that would give me a big boost because those 200 people had told me we want this app. So then I just started refreshing like crazy, right? So I knew that every hour, 5 minutes after the hour, the rankings would change. Mm-hmm. So I would just pop open the app store, kill the app, bring it back so that it would like reload with fresh data, and then would just scroll to wherever the heck I was. And so maybe 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh my God, we're at like 130. Like, this is amazing. I'm the best internet marketer that has ever existed. I'm like mic drop kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then by like 2 o'clock, I was at 60, and I was like, wait a minute, like this is crazy town. Like this is unexpected. Like this is so cool. And so I started scrolling to see who was above me, right? So like what other emoji app is above me? And I'm like, Simone Biles, right? Like little teeny tiny American gymnast. I'm like, I'm going after her. Like I'm gonna outrank her and her emoji app for no other reason than I'm just competitive.
Right.
It's
crazy how competitive you'll stoop to. Is I remember I'll have an app launch and I will literally have the app open like all day, and I'll open and I'll close it, I'll open and I'll close it, and I just have it open all day. So the Apple algorithm knows that So was that the first day that you hit 130 and then started going to 60 and higher and higher?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So my chart was awesome. It was like it was like big stair steps every hour,
right?
To see it jump up, and then also at that point we turned on our second round of campaign of Facebook traffic, of Instagram traffic, saying, hey, it's live, come get it, like ready, go kind of thing.
Right. And what was the reaction from the Instagram ads?
Instagram crushed it. I mean,
really?
We had a ton of, likes and reshares and mentions and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
As well as, referrals, right? So into the app store, we can see where the traffic is coming from. We saw a ton of traffic coming from Instagram, which kind of gives us the sense that we know the demographic skews a little younger on Instagram, and our creative on Instagram was very specific. It was kind of telling a story with emoji, right? So it was like a sequence of like 3 or 4 or 5 emoji that there was no text, but would tell like a story. So it was like an alarm clock, swimming, stack of pancakes, bed, right? Like that's a typical swimmer's like Saturday morning, right? Like wake up really early, go swim, eat a bunch, and then go back and take a nap. And so we tried to think in those terms. And I think I told you this, right? Like we were just getting ad creative after ad creative rejected by Facebook because Facebook has this text rule where only 20% of the surface area of your image can be like ASCII text. And so like like the keyboard for whatever reason was tripping up their like auto figuring out algorithm. So like we were trying to show screenshots with the keyboard up. And so like we were like, all right, we need something else. And so that's what we landed on, was kind of like doing like a cartoon style like storytelling using our emoji.
Yeah, it's really fun to market a texting app when you can't show text.
Yeah.
It's always a catch.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's the first day you've got it launched, and then you went all the way up to 37, correct?
Yep. Yeah, we hit 37 on utilities, and everybody was like, I can't believe that, you know, like that we are there.
Right. And I think what people are going to be really interested to hear about is you were also featured. Apple chose to feature you, which usually you hear people getting featured because they have a publisher. You don't have a publisher. You publish this yourself. You don't have any partners as of right now. I think that when Apple features you, it's the best compliment that you could ever get, because it means like this person, not only are you buds with Apple now, like you can join another app and they're going to know who you are and that you're a quality developer, but they're essentially saying this person is developing the type of app that we want to showcase. Like, this is what we want people to have. And I mean, this is your first app and you're getting an app featured like organically, essentially. That's crazy. Like, how did you find out that your app was featured?
Yeah. Well, of course, Apple doesn't email you and say like, "Hey, we're going to," you know. So it's like it just happens kind of magically, right? So one of my business partners, he sends me a text message around like 11 o'clock at night on Friday, and he says, "Hey, do you know about this?" Like, and that's what I see in like the message preview, right? Like, you know, on your lock screen, he's like, "Hey, do you know about this?" And I'm thinking like, "Oh man, like something bad's happened. Like, you know, like somebody's going to sue us or something like that, right?" Like, of course, that's where Chicken Little goes. So I open it up, I look at the screenshot, and it's a screenshot of our app next to Justin Bieber's app. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, we're featured? Like, we are featured? Oh my God, this is like, you know, and just like so like, I didn't sleep at all Friday night. I was like too wired.
Awesome.
Because, you know, like you said, right? Like Apple basically said, hey, we think that the Swimoji app is a really great example of, you know, our platform and, you know, what a good app looks like on iPhones and iPads. And like, that's a huge compliment. That's just really cool. That's, you know, legitimizes all the hard work that went into kind of conceptualizing and making sure that, you know, all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So kind of to just wind this down, this is just such a huge success, not because, you know, you're making millions of dollars, but because like you developed a great product, a great app that is successful. You took a template, you made it even better. You learned about contacting influencers and what's involved and how to get people's attention. Your initial goal of marketing, of really stepping up your marketing game, like that looks like that's a huge plus. You've worked with great people internally, like Ricky, as far as designers.
Yep.
What's the biggest takeaway that you had from this project that is going to make your next app, you know, that much more successful?
Yeah, so I think it is this idea of spending a little money to make money, and trusting in the process and understanding that, you know, it's a marathon. You know, like you're spending a little bit of money on Facebook to run traffic to try to capture email addresses, right? And so, you know, you're working with numbers that I was super excited with, right? Like 200 emails, like just like had me elated. Like I could not believe that 200 people had entrusted me with their email addresses. But, you know, like I was trying to keep perspective on like the, you know, like this is good for me, you know, like
Right.
I'm not Michael Phelps, right? Like I don't get to go on TV and win, you know, however many gazillion gold medals he's won. So I'm not going to have 9 billion followers, right? Like I'm going to have 200. And that's a great starting point. And so, you know, so often I was worried or concerned that like I needed to have, you know, 1 million downloads on day one. I needed to have, you know, 300 million downloads, you know, because you hear these like crazy big numbers from really, really successful people, you know, like, oh, this person has done 10 million downloads across their portfolio, you know, and you're like, well, I'm never going to like that number. Like I can't even process that number in my head. Right. But I can be like 200 downloads. Yeah, I can do that. I can do 200 downloads in a day. Like, sure. Okay. You know, kind of thing. And so that was my big takeaway was, you know, like, don't compare myself to my neighbor. Like it's, you know, spend a little money, figure out how to build your audience and go from there.
Right. Yeah. You found out how to start this from ground zero. You don't have to be supercell. You don't have to be king. And also, you don't have to spend $20 a day. You are unique because you you have a time frame. You have the Olympics, which is great because it might be one of the greatest themes to focus on all year. You know, it's trumping the, pardon the pun, the election right now even. But that I would be freaked out if I had the Olympics and I'm like, okay, I have 2 weeks. Like, I need to do this now. Here's $20 a day. But I'm hoping that your next launch will. I think that your next launch will probably be a product that isn't so time crunched, and you don't need to spend $20 a day. You can spend $5 a day. You can spend, but that's awesome that you have that such takeaway of the Facebook ads, the marketing component.
The time crunch was great for us because it drew a line in the sand, right? It basically said, like, listen, you have to figure all of this stuff out. Like, you can't, dilly-dally. Facebook is the world's biggest time waster, right? And so, like, me and my team were, like, looking at Facebook. We're like, what are other ads doing on Facebook? And it's like, oh, okay, well, let's go scroll on the Facebook, feed for 6 hours, right? Like, no, you can't do that. If you can't waste a whole day, like, doing market research on Facebook ads. Like, you're like, all right, like, we got to go with this. Like, we have no idea if this is a good idea, but, like, we need an ad right now for tomorrow, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not so much the idea and the research; it's the execution, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So you've got Emoji. I know we've talked briefly. I'm really excited to see what you're doing next as far as videos. I know you're looking at doing some videos now, do video preview, doing some promotional video stuff. What is next with, now that the Olympics are dwindling down, with the Swimoji and Emoji All-Stars, right? Is that the name of the company? And I guess any other side projects that you're kind of looking on, what are you focusing on next?
Yeah, so I developed those relationships with the athletes and their agents prior to the Olympics. And now I have a really great success story with how the app has done in the marketplace and with how everything has behaved there. So I'm going to loop back with those guys and say, hey, Olympics are over. We have no more Rule 40. Like, do you still want to hook up? Do you still want to, do something together? Do you still want to, figure out a way to include, your athletes and your likeness into this app that now already has an audience, right? Like, we know that these people that are using the Swimoji app are diehard swim fans. Like, they want to see your face in there. And so that's great. And also the Olympics gave a bunch of the international, swimmers some recognition as well. So, there were swimmers from Hungary, there were swimmers from China, there were swimmers from all over that I can also now start to cold call and outreach. And, it doesn't have to just be USA swimmers, or it doesn't have to just be, and so I'm looking forward to developing that part, the relationship, kind of maturing the product and maturing, what we have as far as an offering goes, and see how that, influencer marketing actually does affect downloads and sales and everything like that. Beyond that, we've already started our second product that we're working on. So here before it gets to be the fall, we want to do emojis of the national parks. So, like, everybody's having one last hurrah as they go on vacation and everything before, kind of back to school and whatnot. And so we're thinking national park emojis with, animals and scenes and camping and hiking and all that kind of gear as emojis, and try a totally different model, right? So try, Swimoji was paid up front. Let's try a free, or let's try an ad-based, or let's try an in-app purchase or something like that, just so that we get our feet underneath us, right? Just so we understand all the different monetization opportunities that are out there. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's so cool to see somebody. You're experimenting is what you're doing. You're learning right now, and you're having a lot of fun doing it. You can obviously tell how passionate you are about it. I'm just so happy that we met in Hawaii. I'm happy again to see you in San Francisco in November. Everything that you do in the community, it's just been a freaking ride. It fires me up to see people like you who I talked to a month ago, and you don't have an app, you don't have anything, and now you're featured in Top 37, and you got this outreach program. So it's congratulations and everything, Evan. Really, really awesome to see you continuing to grow. Yeah, thanks, man. I certainly couldn't have done it without the resources and information that you and Carter are publishing, like, constantly. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, we'll put the link to the app and your company website below, and I will see you in November. Awesome. Sounds good, man. All right, thanks, Evan. Appreciate it. Later.